This is the podcast Teen Culture by Kensington Voynich. Teen culture is about advice for teenagers from a teenager. Growing up a teen, especially in the age of social media and constantly liking and posting, can be hard. This podcast, by teens for teens, takes a dive into the problems we face today. On this first episode, we'll be talking about toxic and manipulative relationships. I feel like at least once in your life, you will get into an unhealthy relationship. Whether it's as bad and as toxic as others, it will still not make you feel the best and not make others around you feel the best. By definition, a toxic relationship is a relationship characterized by behaviors on the part of the toxic partner that are emotionally and not infrequently physically damaging to their partner, says HealthScope magazine. Some signs of these, some signs of a toxic relationship can be all take, no give, feeling drained, lack of trust, hostile atmosphere, and many more. Today, I talked to two different females about their experience with toxic relationships and how they took the relationships and some advice they have for others. Okay, so the first person I talked to would like to stay anonymous, which I respect because she didn't want to start things back up with her ex. The first question I asked her was, when did she realize it was an unhealthy relationship? She talked about how when she began making excuses for behavior, she ignored the red flags because I thought I loved him and I wanted to stay friends with him. As I began getting depressed and realizing that he wasn't there for me, I realized that he didn't care and I needed to stop caring too. When he cheated, he was understanding and kind about me, deciding to have us to take a break. At the end of our friendship, he tried to turn it around and make me feel guilty for telling my parents about him cheating. This is the first sign of just not being in a good relationship. You should not have to make excuses for how they're acting, because at the end of the day, that is their problem and their own issues that they have to work through, not yours. The next question I asked was, how did being in the relationship affect your self-esteem then and now? Being in the relationship when we were dating made my self-esteem a lot better because he told me he loved me and he boosted my confidence a lot. After we broke up, my self-esteem went really low and I was literally depressed for a while. But now my self-esteem is a lot higher because I realized that I don't need him. This is very empowering because I feel as though some people get into a relationship just to feel that love and affection from someone else and feel like they actually do belong. But those are all the wrong reasons to get into a relationship. Oh my goodness, I cannot talk. You should have the love for yourself and want to give some of that love to others. You shouldn't feel awful about yourself and want others to give that to you. You should just always love yourself because at the end of the day, your first and last love is self-love. I also asked her, how did their behavior change from the beginning to the end of the relationship? At the beginning of the relationship, he was always texting me and reaching out and being sweet, being a good boyfriend in all ways. Once we had broken up and I was trying to make things work, he began ignoring me and stopped reaching out. Towards the end of our failed friendship, he almost completely stopped texting me, and I only talked to him in person. Although this might be hard for some people, sometimes that's the best thing you can do because if this person was already bad to you, you don't want to keep them as a friend because if they weren't good in a relationship, they might be better as a friend, but you don't know that. And if they're not talking to you and just ignoring you, you just need to give it time and you need to just break it off. And then I asked her what's some advice you would like to give to teens who are currently in a toxic relationship. She said some advice is to listen to your friends. I was so dumb. I ignored some really good advice from my friends telling me to cut him off and put it behind me. But I tried to be friends with him and it hurt me. Also, don't make any excuses for whomever is being toxic. It's not okay for them to manipulate you. If you find yourself making excuses for their bad behavior and compromising too much for them, that's a bad sign. She is extremely right here. You should never have to make excuses for how someone else behaves because that is not your issue. And although it might be hard to listen to the advice people are giving you, it is really, they just want the best for you and they care about you. Even though it may seem like they don't want you to be happy, they really just want the best for you. I want you to feel good. Okay, the second person I interviewed, his name is A. Marie, and I've actually known her for a really long time. She moved away a while ago and we stopped talking, but she was telling me the story about her ex and their toxic relationship. I asked her when she realized the relationship was unhealthy. And she said, I realized it was probably possibly unhealthy after her first manic episode because she had contacted her ex for the first time in weeks and showed me the texts, which were filled with her confessing her quote unquote complex love for him. It was basically her asking him out. This is clearly not okay if you are in a relationship with someone. I feel like that's common sense. Like, you don't want them going and asking someone else out because you are in a relationship with them. Although I feel like it can be hard sometimes because you tell yourself, oh, they were just upset. They just did this because they were upset. But behavior really does repeat itself. And yes, people can change, but sometimes it can be very hard. I also asked her, were you scared of leaving your partner because you thought they might harm themselves? She said 1,000,000%. She was constantly riding the edge of self-harm, and I knew that if I had distanced myself, she would have felt alone and might try to self-harm herself. This is not okay. This is a clear sign of just someone going through pain, but taking it out on other people because they don't know what to do with it. You should never feel trapped because you care so much about someone that you don't want them to be gone. Because really, they shouldn't be looking for someone else to give them the will to live, because that is your own thing. And if you were to harm yourself, that is your own decision. And yes, it's bad. It's not a good thing to do. I'm not trying to glorify the situation, but at the end of the day, that is that person's choice. And although it's awful to think that you have caused that, but you didn't. That was their choice. And it was what was going on in their mind that caused them to do that. The last question I asked her was, did you find yourself questioning your own reality on a daily basis? I didn't really question my reality, but I did kind of switch to this is how all relationships are mindset. And I dealt with it because I didn't think it was anything too big. I mean, now I know mental illness can't be the backbone of a good relationship. Everything she was doing was almost normal for her, so I went into the relationship expecting some minor issues, but it really just turned, I cannot read that word, cataclysmic. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I was worried all day, every day for her own safety, and it was frankly exhausting. If you're in a relationship with someone, you should not have to worry if they're going to do something to themselves. Although it is human nature to worry about others and want everybody to stay safe, that, like I said before, that is their own choice. And even if they were to make a stupid decision, as hard as it is, you cannot blame yourself for that, because they did that to themselves. And I feel like I just keep repeating myself, I'm sorry, but it really is not your fault that they did that to them. Emotional abuse in toxic relationships can happen no matter the age or gender of the people involved. Just know you're never alone, and there are resources to help you. The domestic violence hotline and website are always there. They're 24/7. The hotline is 1-800-799-SAFE, or the website is thehotline.org. That's THEHOTLIN.org. Just know you are never alone in anything. This is Kensi Voynich signing off, hoping everyone a safe and healthy quarantine.